Well, good evening. It's 5 p.m. Marvette Kelly, the curriculum resource teacher at RSGA. Welcome to Team C's Curriculum Night. You should see on your screen an agenda for this evening's event. And so I will be doing the opening and the opening for this evening. Then Mrs. Roundtree will share about ELA and Mrs. Baez will share about math, and then we'll move to the question and answer portion of this evening's event. All right, you should see an iReady report on your screen. We're going to briefly talk about how to read the iReady report and share resources that are aligned with your child's performance. This is a report of a sample student. When you review the iReady reports, those of you who registered today, you would have received an email within the past 10 to 15 minutes with this information. The first thing you will need to look at is the diagnostic score, and that's going to be in this section of the report. Underneath the score, you'll see a green dot. If the dot is green, that means your child is at or above grade level. If it's yellow or red, it means that your child is performing below grade level and that those are areas where your child needs to grow. This particular student is scoring at an early 6th grade level. For this time of year, a child should have a score in 6th grade of 514 or higher to be considered as at level. When we look at the report, you'll see a bar that shows where the student is performing. The blue line that you see shows where the child performed on the first assessment. We want to see a plus sign with a score that shows how much a child has grown. And if there's a top blue line, that's where the child is performing now. The typical growth and stretch growth that you see are based on scores that children score at the beginning of the year. If a child scores above the typical line, that means that they have reached at least a year's growth for the grade level. Over to the right, you'll see 3 domains. You'll see domains, 4 domains for the subject of math, showing where a child is performing. All greens means that they're on grade level. If you see any yellows or red, that means that that's an area where a child needs to develop. You'll see a percentile score. Every student, we hope, will be at the 50th percentile or higher. This particular student is at the 72nd percentile. And then you'll see what's called a quantile measure, which we'll talk about in just a moment. For each section of iReady, we've included some additional information to show you.
You tell them less.
It was fine.
What your child can do, and then some next steps. The next steps tell you skills that your child needs to work on between now and the 3rd diagnostic assessment in order to grow. And that information is available for each domain. One neat feature that's included with iReady, there's a report called Understanding Quantile Measures. You received this information. For reading and math, there are parent guides that help you to understand the scores a little better. And there's a web link that we're going to visit with resources to show you, in terms of mathematics, what you can do to help your child to grow and to develop if there's some skills that they still need to work on. Okay, you should see a site that says Quantile Framework for Mathematics. The site is really neat and it has resources that are helpful to parents. If you click on the section that says for parents and students, there's information on quantile measures and how to use them. But the section that I want to go through with you is how to use quantile math at home. What it does is it provides free resources that you can download and use, that you can print, or web-based resources that can be used for free. For the sample student whose report that I just showed you, that student's quantile measure was a 900. So what we would do is enter the child's quantile measure, which is 900, and it came right off of the iReady report. You select the grade level and you select the state. So I'm going to select the state of Florida and click search. And what it does is for your child's level, it shows you all of the resources that are available on the web, items you can download, and information you can print out. If there's a specific skill you want to search, all you have to do is go back to the child's iReady report. So I went back to the sample student. In this student's report for numbers and operations, it says that the next step for this student is to use the distributive property. So the key skill there is distributive property, or they can pull up and practice greatest common factor. But I'm going to choose distributive property. I'm going to copy that information and I'm going to paste it into the website that we just visited and click search. Now for distributed property, they didn't show anything, but one part of that was greatest common factor. So I'm going to search that next. Since that didn't show me anything, I'm just going to go back to general search, and then you can scroll down and look for information related to that specific skill. The less words you use, the better. I'm going to try a different skill based on that child's performance, just so that you can see how this works. I'm just going to put divide decimals because the less words you put, the better, and click search. That one didn't show anything, so I'm going to try multiply decimals and see if that works. That didn't show anything. So I'm going to take the quantile measure out and see if we can come up with anything doing that. Just with division, it has a variety of activities here that they can practice, and a similar activity would be dividing fractions. But sometimes you have to play with the wording a little bit in order to get it to work. But you just basically type in the name of the skill and click search, and it will show you activities that are geared towards that particular activity. So I'm just going to click on one of the activities and it takes you right to the site where the activity can be practiced. If you actually register for the site, you're able to save different items that you search. Oops, so now we got to Illinois. Let's go back to Florida. Another item that's available on this site, if I go back to Quantile Tools, this site has what's called a summer math challenge, and it doesn't begin until June 21st, and that's probably because there are a lot of states where the school year doesn't end until June. But if you register for a free account and sign your child up, you'll get a notification a few days in advance of it starting, and that will be an opportunity for your child to practice some of the math skills that were learned this year. I'm now going to move to the iReady reading report and show you resources that are available online through that. Going back to our sample student is performing on grade level. How do we know? We see a green dot. Our sample student in reading is performing at the 75th percentile, which is 50th percentile or higher, which is great. It's what we want. There's a Lexile score of 1090, which we're going to take a look at some of the Lexile resources later. Looking at all of the categories for reading, this student is performing on grade level. But looking at the score, we see that the score is a 617. If we go to the top, the on grade level range is 598 to 653. Mid on grade level is 616. So this student is scored right where he needs to be. Between the first diagnostic assessment and the second diagnostic assessment, this particular student grew 32 points, which is amazing. And this student has made his typical growth goal. I didn't talk to you with the math report about stretch goals. Stretch goals are typically done for students who are working below proficiency, and in order for them to meet on grade level standards, they have to make more than a year's growth. If this student were performing on grade level based on this performance, then this student would have met his or her stretch goal as well. If you don't see a plus sign and an arrow on your child's already report, it means that your child did not show growth between the first and second diagnostics. If you see a flag in this section of the report, it means that they rushed through the assessment. Or it could be they did not take as much care or as much time with the second assessment. So we're really going to look for those kids to grow a lot before the third diagnostic assessment at the end of the year. Just like with the math portion, there's a section showing what you're trying to do. Some next steps, which means these are skills that your child needs to work on between now and the third assessment. How your child can be supported in reading. There's a report that you receive that helps you to understand lexile measures and on how to use the lexile measure to find a book. For the parent guide to the lexile that you receive, it explains a little more about how lexile scores work and how you can use those to help your child grow stronger in reading. The greatest recommendation that we can give you is for your child to constantly read. That's how their vocabulary will grow. That's how comprehension will grow. But we're going to visit the website called Find Just Right Books. All right, you should see this site. You can use it without registering, but if you do register, you'll have an opportunity to save information. I'm putting the child's lexile measure in for the sample student, which is 1050 that came up with the iReady report. If your child has an interest in a particular area, you can choose based on that. And I chose fiction. And it gives you the option to choose subcategories based on fiction. So if there's a specific kind of fiction that your child likes, like let's say that your child likes humor. So we select humor. You can select more than one. So we'll do humor, we'll do historical, and action and adventure. You can select as many as you like and click search. And it gives you recommendations of books within your child's reading range that they can select to read. Our school's website has Capstone, which has digital books. You can search for some of these titles there, or in the school library, or through the public library online. But this was a pretty neat feature that's included. If we take out the categories and just put the child's reading level, then it'll give you all of the books they recommend based on your child's reading range. And these are just some suggestions, but this is a really neat feature. Another feature that's on here that I'd like to recommend is called word lists, and it's under the Lexile tools. If you select the grade band 6 through 8, If you register and sign up, you can select any domain. I'm just going to select general just to show you what this does. And then you can select a format. I'm going to choose PDF, but you can actually choose both. And since I'm signed into this site, I'm actually going to sign in. When you register and sign in, you can select words and frequency. And there's a reason why I'm selecting that. And I'm going to go back with general. You can select all, but for the purpose of this, I'm just going to select general and click download. What this does is it shows you general words from grades 6 through 8 that your child will encounter in school through teaching, through the curriculum, on standardized assessments, on unit tests, classroom tests, and it shows you the frequency that these words will likely to occur. Based on this exercise, the word analysis, or another form of that is analyze, will occur approximately 578 times. So it is a word they definitely need to know. I recommend this feature because what happens to a lot of our students on tests, students will read questions and will ask questions about the question because they don't understand the meanings of the words in question. What you can do with this word list, what I'm recommending is taking a few words a day, not all of these words at one time. You quiz your child on a few of these words and just simply ask them, what is the meaning of analysis, to see if they can tell you? What is the meaning of absolute? If your child can tell you the meaning of the word, put a check mark. If not, highlight the word. Once you've gone through all of the words, for all of the highlighted words, for each one of the highlighted words, have your child to look up the definition either in a dictionary or online. There are a lot of online. Many people just ask Google. Have your child on 2 different index cards to write the word on one side, the definition on the other, and make a stack of flashcards. The reason why I recommend 2 sets of cards is because your child can use those cards to play a concentration game where they match the definition with the word in order to practice those definitions and build their vocabulary. These words also occur on many standardized tests as well, including ACT and SAT. And as shared before, going back to the site, you can do the same thing for social studies, math, and science. And then they can start building their vocabulary by becoming familiar with words that they're going to see very often at school and in their learning. Another tool that's available for the Lexile tools and the Quantile tools is called a growth planner. And based on the type of career your child wants to pursue, it has a feature where you can put in the student's Lexile measure. I'm just going to use 945. And for the test month, I'm going to use January of 2021 because that's when kids took iReady. I'm going to select 6th grade, and the school year started August of 2020. You can pull up a recommended growth path. If your child wants to pursue a career that requires university learning, you can select university readiness range. If what your child wants to pursue a path that requires to enter the workforce immediately, you can select workplace readiness range, or you can select community college readiness range. And I'm just going to select university just to show you what this does. If you click submit, it shows you a growth path for your child based on where they're currently performing. It shows you the percentile in comparison to other kids in the country. and it shows you what your results mean. And the key shows you their pathway to reading readiness in order to enter, a university for the particular career they're training for. And it shows, the orange bar shows a university readiness range, which means this is the band that they will need to score in order to be ready for college and university learning. So that was really neat. If you register, it even has a feature where you can explore different careers and the particular lexile and quantiles that will be needed for those particular careers. We're not going to explore this portion tonight, but it is available to you through the documents that you received by email. You will be able to visit this particular website and to review the information that was shared for iReady. If there are any questions throughout tonight's meeting, if you could place those in the chat and we'll add them to our Ask It basket. And of course, we'll have a Q&A portion at the end. I'm going to transition now to Mrs. Roundtree and rest my voice for our Ask It basket in Q&A portion. So Ms. Roundtree, if you're ready, I'm going to go ahead and mute.
Now, can you hear me? Okay, thank you. Miss Kelly, you did great. I'm so sorry about your voice. I know it's really tough, especially at the end of the day, but you held in there really great. That's some awesome information. I particularly enjoyed the vocabulary and the word list. I think that parents would find that extremely helpful. I went ahead and stayed in my room this evening because I realized that our parents have not had a chance to see our classroom. So you can see at least a little bit of it. You don't see your child's environment. So this year has been really crazy like that. iReady. The students are doing great on iReady. I do feel like it has really helped improve. They're asking questions, which is super important. At first, at the beginning of the year, they would not ask questions. They'd fail quizzes, and then they, didn't really get it. They're in the swing of it now. They're asking questions and doing great. I have a classroom challenge every single week, and they get a reward, the class that wins. And when we first started doing the challenges, we were in the 60s, 70s. Last week, my third period actually got 92% correct, with only 2 students not able to pass a lesson. So they really did great, and it's just really amazing to watch the growth. I think that has been a super big help. Reading, like Ms. Kelly said, the best way to improve on reading is to practice like anything else in life. So make sure your child is reading. They are not too old for you to read to them, with them, listen to them read. It's still great, and they absolutely love. I have one class that they just like lean in when I do read aloud. They still love it. So don't think they're too old for that. They're not. They really love it. Vocabulary is a weakness for a lot of students in 6th grade. So like Ms. Kelly said, we need to really work with that. There are a lot of ways you can do it. A fun thing on the internet is free rice. And they like just playing that and just kind of challenging. And that's a real good one, free rice. As far as their skills go, the biggest weakness that I've seen, I don't know if you can see this, but plot. They are struggling still with plot. We spent a whole 9 weeks on it, but they still are struggling with that. So they need to retell stories. They need to pay attention to characters. And as you read their books with them, ask about the characters in the books. How do they change from the beginning to the end? if they had made a different choice along the way, how would that have changed the plot or the ending of the story? Would it still, can you take something out? All those things help them a lot with that. Chapter books. How does this chapter help move the plot forward? Things like that are very important. And how does it contribute? Ask those deep thinking questions, those why, the ones we get so crazy over sometimes. Why do you ask why so much? And we definitely want them to ask why. That is just a great thing, especially in ELA. They'll give me an answer and I go, why do you think that? So I make them tell me why and verbalize that. Also with writing, we're working a lot on writing right now. FSA writing is April 14th. So we are working this week and next week on the FSA writing a lot. The last couple of days, we have done our pre-writing and just tap the prompt and things like that. And then the next class period, we'll be doing some actually reading, marking up that text and getting them to not be afraid. They're going to have paper pencil. So they're going to be able to mark up the text. And the more they can do that, the better as they read. So that's super important. And then next week, we're going to be working on just things like transitions and kind of spicing up their writing a little bit to help give them that little bit of a boost. So that's what we're doing for writing. Nonfiction, I've been so impressed with these children. They are doing great on their nonfiction reading. Something that has really helped that I've watched them do is we do epic books, and it's they can do it at home, they can do it at school, and I believe it cuts off in the afternoons around 4 o'clock. But for right now, they can certainly do it at home. We do that in the classroom, especially if they can't get to the library, they haven't finished a book, or they left it at home, they can get on epic books. They read it, and it works much the way I'm not going to explain it because most of them, the children, all know how to do it. And it's a lot of the same features as the program Miss Kelly was talking about. And they know how to go in and pick those books out that they enjoy. Some of them actually read the books to them, and that works on their listening skills. Don't worry about them listening to the books. Anytime they can listen to a fluent reader, that's going to improve their comprehension as well. So that helps them in reading. And I forgot to set my timer, but I'll try to keep an eye on my time. A couple of things, we just like to play games when we can. We haven't been able to do as much of that because of our CDC guidelines, but some things you can do at home, or we have some game cards in the classroom. Miss Kelly has a game that she's going to, you can get from her that she'll be sending, but one is just the old, like give someone a clue. We have a certain word that you're trying to get someone to say. You can either, the cards that I have, I don't think you can see it, but let's get it, zoom it in just, maybe you can see that card for me. Okay, you can have your students, thank you, Miss Kelly, for cueing me. You can have your student, your child rather, not your student. You can have your child either say one word at a time that's on the card and let the other person guess it, or you can tell them to, as a challenge, what I like to do is to tell them you're not allowed to use any of the words on the card. And then they have to think of those words, and it really helps improve their vocabulary and gets that rich vocabulary. That can be done with any content area, words, or just random words. Just anytime they can talk and use their language, it's a good thing. Another game, and then I'll be the last game, but I love games, is the old familiar Jenga. And you can see that sitting in front of me. I'm going to tip my camera down just a little bit. Okay, can you see the cards? Okay, a little bit. The cards, you can take a colored Jenga or paint the edges of a Jenga game, a regular Jenga game you may have at home. This is familiar, the children all know how to play it. We've been working on Greek roots. Instead of them just taking one out and taking turns, you can have them have to answer a question. before, like if they want to pull a red one, then they need to answer a red question, which happens to be Greek roots. They really get into the strategy and all of this. Like if they want to pull the yellow one out because it's easy, and then it says text structure, they might go, oh. So they have to kind of think, what do they know? It helps them learn. They get to hear other students answer the questions. And of course, at some point it's going to fall. So you want to collect as many of your cards that you get correct. If they don't get it correct, they can't pull the piece out. So they want to do that and get collect as many as possible. It's quick, it's easy. You can make up your own cards. You could do it for each subject. Maybe if they're studying for a subject at home, you could have them study for each of their tests, their upcoming units, whatever. They could have a math file or ELA or social studies, science, anything. So, or any types of vocab, anything you wanted to do, and they could pick the color, and they like games. We all like games. We can use these in groups in the classroom. I think, FSA, almost left out something super important. We're sending home these FSA packets. And this is something you can do at home and review this with your child when it comes home. And we'll be working on it in the classroom as well, so that we have, and you can see like the level, the text complexity that your child's going to have when they do their FSA, just to get a general idea of the types of questions. And one thing Miss Kelly said I would like to emphasize, I'm gonna put the camera back where you can see me, I think. Very important. One of the major things that children, one of the reasons they don't do well sometimes, they do not understand the question. So when you read questions with your child, even if you are not answering the question, ask them, what is that asking you? And when they can answer that, they can normally answer the question. That has been the biggest hurdle, is understanding the questions. As they get older, the complexity of the vocabulary in the question increases. And a lot of times they know how to find that answer. They know the answer once they understand the question. So I would say emphasize, what am I asking you? What is the question? What is that question asking you? Or what is the task? What are you charged with doing? I appreciate you coming out or talking, or we didn't actually come out tonight, but you zoomed in with us and we appreciate you. Thank you for taking your time with us. And I'll turn it back to Ms. Kelly, who I believe is going to turn it over to Ms. Baez. Thank you.
All right, thanks so much, Ms. Roundtree. We'll have Ms. Baez present information about math.
Hey everyone. So I'm just going to discuss some stuff that, some challenges that we have faced within the classroom and iReady, and then just kind of preparing for FSA. First of all, I know that we drill iReady a lot, especially in mathematics and reading. The beauty of iReady is that it's also helping us not only teach kids where their gaps are, but it's also helping them review what's current. I know last year was challenging with the shutdowns and the children and the students unable to be in the classroom. The beauty of iReady is it quizzes them, it tests them, and then it's letting us know where they're at. And then it's assessing them and just kind of filling in those gaps. It's picking out lessons that they have missed, standards that they have missed, skills that they have not learned, or maybe just haven't mastered fully, and it's having them learn it again. So I know the students may get tired of it. However, it really is beneficial to their growth. And the beauty of it is that they do have help within the classroom when they're working on it. They work on it in Ms. Coleman's room and in my classroom. And the minute that they need help, we're there to assist them with it. So when we have students who are truly just not passing lessons, honestly, it's because, and I hate to say it's because they're not necessarily giving it 100, because we are here to assist. I know that has been a struggle in the classroom, is getting these lessons passed. So I want to rest everyone assured that we do assist them with passing their lessons. I have seen tremendous growth this year with math, so I'm very pleased. I know at the beginning of the year, I felt as if they didn't quite take it seriously. However, that has also changed. I'm seeing students really, really trying and pushing to try to meet their personal goals and to meet their growth goals. Something that I do is I have data chats with all my students. So a day that they're maybe doing their performance matters, or a day that they are working independently, I print all of their scores and they sit with me one-on-one and we just talk. Okay, what are you struggling with? Why are you not reaching your goals? Yes, you are reaching your goals. Okay, what can we do to push further? So everyone has had a one-on-one chat with me twice this year. I've also sent home the scores to have their adult at home sign it and turn it in as an easy homework grade. So also just kind of keep my adults at home aware of what is going on with their iReady and their growth. Okay, so yes, we do emphasize iReady a lot, but it's so important for their individual growth. It is personalized and tailored to them. Something that I'm noticing my students struggle with within the classroom is basic math facts, the multiplication facts. I know we learned those in elementary school. However, I feel as if they are unable, a lot of them, to just recall them on the spot. So they understand the process, they understand the skill. However, they're making these careless mistakes of just not getting those basic math facts down. And that honestly is an easy fix, because the best way to learn those math facts is to constantly just review them. Okay, so flashcards, just taking just note cards and making homemade flashcards is a wonderful option to use. I have provided each student with a multiplication table. It is actually in the front of their math notebook. So yes, while they're working in my classroom, if they happen to forget what a math fact is, they're able to use that as a reference. But you can also use that math multiplication table to make those flashcards so they're able to review them. That's something that I've noticed that they struggle with. Once again, they understand the process, however, they just forget these basic math facts. Also their addition facts, they're unable to recall them on the spot. So that's just something we want to work on at home. That is honestly an easy fix. And I know that they're able to maybe count on their fingers or use scratch paper. Unfortunately, FSA is timed. So we also want to assist them with just building stamina and maybe just a little bit of speed when working on their math problems. That's something that knowing and mastering those basic math facts will assist them with, okay? Something that I also want to drive a lot is using their notebook and showing work. So we do not have a math textbook that goes home, but we do have a math notebook, and that notebook has all of their notes. I have a notebook for every single class period, and when we are doing notes, it is guided. So what I write down, they write down. They're supposed to write down. So they have the process on how to work out every single math problem. So the problem is when I say, okay, let's work out this problem, I don't remember how to do it. Well, I tell them, okay, where in your notebook can you find it? I am teaching them research skills, because let's face it, we don't always remember how to do something. However, when you have the proper research skills, you're able to find out how to solve a problem. So yes, they have their notebooks. When your student is at home struggling with homework, please, 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 please have them refer to their notes. I make it very basic. Step 1, do this. Step 2, do this. Step 3, do this. It outlines every single concept and standard that we have learned. Something that I do also is I have them write down the standard that we are learning on the top of their note page. So if you are worried about which standard that they're covering, or I'm not quite sure what it is, it's written on their notebook, or it's supposed to be written on their notebook. So please, please, please use that notebook to study. Use that notebook to do homework. That will help them just kind of really just drive those concepts home and really learn those skills. Something that we are also need to work on is showing our work. So many times students just want to work out a math problem in their head and they won't show it on paper. And they know from the beginning of the year, I say, if you don't show your work, you do not receive credit. And the reason for that is I need to know what their thought process is. I need to know how they're working these problems out. Also, if a student misses a problem, I'm able to look at their work and see where they made a mistake. especially now that we're getting into algebra, when they start breaking down those expressions and those equations, sometimes you just miss one step. So instead of having to erase the whole problem and start all over again, students can simply just figure out where they made the mistake and start from there. It is super, super important to use pencil and paper to work out our problems. During the FSA, they will have scratch paper that they're able to work out their problems on. So it is important that as of right now, they really, really, really start learning how to depend on using their scratch paper to work out their math problems. And I know I'm a stickler about it, and I don't give credit without it, because let's face it, how do I not know that we're not using Google or a calculator? We have got to start showing our work. So please encourage your students to show their work. It could be just any scratch paper. I just need to see proof that it's being worked out on. So in preparation for FSA, we are doing an FSA countdown that started this week. So because we're on block scheduling and I see the kids every other day, they will get 2 days at one time. And it's just a sheet of paper. I'm not sure if y'all can see. This just kind of looks like this. Okay. It'll have about 4 to 5 math problems. So honestly, every meeting, they're going to get about 10 math problems. So at the beginning of the class, they'll get 2 days worth. And I give them about 20 minutes to work them out. It gives them about 2 minutes a problem, which is honestly what they should be averaging per math problem. Okay. This is a review of what we've covered the whole year and then some. Yes, there are going to be problems on here that are 7th and 8th grade standards, because it is made to challenge them, and it is made to just kind of really enhance their critical thinking skills. So yes, some of these problems are going to be a little more difficult and a little more challenging, and that's fine. I want them to still attempt it. They still have to attempt it, and they still have to try. So they will be keeping these. They'll be doing it in the class. What I do is, as they're working, I walk around and I see what my students are struggling with. And then we pick out the hardest ones, or the ones that they're really, the majority are really struggling with. And then we, as a class, we go over them. And as a class, we work them out again, okay? What I do is also, I have them use their notebook. Once again, that notebook is extremely important. So if we're struggling with a certain concept, we look in our notebook on what page we can figure out how to work that out on. For example, they are still struggling with using the order of operations and evaluating expressions. Okay, let's turn to the page where we learned order of operations. What do we do first? What do we do next? So while they are relearning, or while they're reviewing each concept or each skill, we are also using our resources to kind of drive those skills home and to learn how to find the answer for these problems, or how to work these problems out. So they will be taking those home. If for some reason a student wasn't able to finish all 10 problems, or if they really struggled with one of them, I'm sending all of these home. So they do go home with them. So I encourage parents to please look at them with their student, and really review with them, ask them what they're struggling with. Use a notebook once again to help them review what they're working on. A really good resource that I personally even have my students in the classroom use is Khan Academy. So I may have a student, I am one person in here, and I'll have 20 some students. So I might be working with one student. If someone asks me a question about, let's say, exponents, okay, go to Khan Academy and look up exponents. Half the time they don't even need me anymore, because it reviews it with them. And they automatically, okay, I remember how to do this. Okay. So something that I really want my adults at home to use is Khan Academy also. It's really great way to also review skills, because it also gives you math problems that you can work out. So you'll kind of watch the video, and then you'll able to click on there, and then you're able to work out those math problems, and then it'll tell you whether or not you got the answer right or wrong. So it is also a really, really great way to review math skills that they're learning in the classroom. So if you have, if your student is struggling with a particular concept or a standard or a skill, just go to Khan Academy, review, and then work out those math problems, practice them. I mean, the videos are not long. I mean, at the most 8 minutes. So it is definitely a really, really great tool. So yes, so pretty much we're gonna be working on the FSA countdown every single time they come into my classroom. We're gonna be reviewing what we've learned this year and then some, and we're gonna send this home. So please, please, please review these with your students. As of right now, we don't know the exact date of the math FSA, we are anticipating that it will be mid-May. So we have a little bit of time. Hopefully by then we'll all be ready. So I want to thank everyone for listening and tuning in.
Thanks so much, Ms. Myers. All right, we're going to move to the Q&A portion of our event. First, we'll go over the questions people had that were submitted to us in advance. I'm probably not going to do a lot of reading, but all of the responses have been put on the screen so that you can see them. And teachers, with any of these questions, if you have anything to add, please jump in at any time. All right, you should see a screen that says questions from the RSGA Ask It basket. Okay, the first question a parent submitted was, how can I see my child's grades? We encourage everyone to sign up for Focus Parent Portal if you have not. Anytime your child completes an assignment, it's posted to Focus, and any parent can log on to the parent portal and view their child's grades in real time. You will receive a copy of this portion of the presentation with all of the links to the information. And you can use the Focus Parent Portal also to update any contact information that you have as it changes. And that includes emergency contacts, authorized people to pick up your child, in addition to other things. We had another question from a parent regarding her child's missing assignments, and that she was told to look on Focus to find missing assignments, and her child couldn't tell her anything about the assignments, so she's not sure if they ever got completed. So we're just sharing that as a strategy to avoid missing assignments. Have your child list all their assignments and upcoming tests and due dates in their planner in language they can understand. Many of our teachers have kids write their assignments in their planner, but your child needs to take the responsibility to use language they can understand so that when they get home, they'll know specifically what it is. Have your child show their planner to you at night so that you can see what the assignments are. In regards to classwork, if any assistance is needed with understanding the assignments, then we encourage you to contact the specific teacher for that subject with the name of the assignment and ask for more details. If your child has a computer or smartphone, or if you have a computer or smartphone, have your child to log into Google Classroom, into iReady, or any other online programs used at school so that you can see how assignments are assigned by the teacher and how they're supposed to be submitted. And that gives you a chance to see if they're turning in their work through any online assignments. Work with your child at home to create a system for organizing assignments for their classes using the planner, using their notebooks. Most of our teachers use interactive notebooks, and a lot of times their notes are in those notebooks, or there might be things in the notebooks they have to complete, and just continue to check the parent portal for updates and grades. To reach out to any of our teachers, we included a link to the teachers' email addresses so that you can reach out to them at any time. We had a parent to ask about a list of this year's standards. One of the attachments you received included the ELA and math standards and where your child is currently performing based on their iReady performance. I also included a link to our Title I annual meeting and open house information and all of the links that were in there. One of them was a parent guide to 6th grade language arts. Another was a parent guide to mathematics. And we included all of the standards for this year. For FSA preparation information, we're going to be sending 2 videos out, one for language arts and one for math, only 2 subjects they test in, for you all to view remotely through YouTube. We have those presentations ready. They just need to be recorded so that we can post them. Included with those presentations, you will see the dates for the Florida Standards Assessments for reading and language arts, which was in Compass Writing, and for mathematics. We had quite a few parents to ask about selections for electives. A green form went home with your child today. It was passed out during 6th period. So please ask your child about the form. Those forms will be returned to RSGA, and then our school will send the forms to LCMS. Also, please visit LCMS's website. This school year, their education fair presentation has been posted online. That presentation gives you information about all of their elective classes. So if you visit the direct link that's included, you will be able to see information about all of the electives, and that will help your child to choose the electives they want for next year. All rising 7th graders are required to have a Tdap booster shot before entering 7th grade. If you have questions about that, we've included contact information for the nurse that will be sent out with other resources for the presentation. To also help your child be successful in school, we're sending web links for everything Ms. Roundtree, Ms. Baez, and I share. Stay in contact with all of your child's teachers, and if you haven't scheduled a conference this year, schedule a conference through guidance. For further breakdown of resources, if you need additional info, I've included my contact information and my email address, and it's also in the information that we shared with you. All right, we're right at the 6 o'clock hour, but we wanted to find out at this time if there are any additional questions you have for us or comments or any additional information you have to share. If so, please unmute and share with us at this time. The idea of this evening is so that we could connect, so that those of you all who haven't had a chance to see us could see us, and that we could talk and share. So is there any other information you would like to share with us, or are there any questions you have for us? Wow, nobody? Well, okay, well, we thank you all so much for hopping on and joining us. We had a number of parents who registered for Team C, so I give a shout out to Team C for that. Many of them said they couldn't attend, so the same information you viewed tonight, there will be a recording. Thank you all so much for joining us. If you need us for anything, just reach out to us at any time. And we're just so glad that we had a chance to connect with you. You will receive a survey about tonight's event, so please share your feedback with us and just what we can do to improve, to grow, or just information that we could share that will be helpful to this year's kids or next year's kids. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you, Ms. Kelly.